All right. Welcome to the Distinguished D-Gents podcast, D-Gents. I'm your co-host, Big Bucks Beta. Joining me, special guest from the Gulag. It's Sam, the Spaceman Celentano. We're here to talk about UFC Jacksonville. Sam, what's going on, buddy? How have you been?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm doing well. Back to kick it here with my man Big Bucks. Throwing down, holding down the fort. Everything's going pretty well on my end. Just been busy.
As we all been.
Yeah.
Money Man's been currently on his bye week. He's taking a little bit of a break. If y'all haven't known, he's been away from taking his baseball picks. He will be back on the men soon enough. He actually may or may not be joining us here for this video at some point. Sam, but we're here for UFC Jacksonville. We have a UFC fight every week. I think it's for the next 6-7 weeks. We have UFC
like that.
every Saturday. But the breaking news I think we need to talk about, and I'm going to get your – speak of the devil. Hold on one second.
Oh, here it comes.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What's up,
man? Hey, we just started the show. It's Jason Money Mansman. What's going on, brother?
Yo, good to see you guys. Sorry to everyone out there. I have been swamped, busy. That's why you guys have not seen my lovely face in a while. But it's good to be back, man. Thanks for doing this. Good to be back.
I think we needed to throw some more content out there for the D-Gents, but we're here with the Spaceman. Money Mansman, we were actually getting into the icebreaker. I'm going to defer to Sam first, and we'll get to you, Mansman. UFC judge pay released via Twitter, a mere measly couple $100 per event for non-UFC promotions. Supposedly, UFC judges make a total of $1,600. A lot of questionable decisions, a lot of questionable calls coming from these judges in the last few events. Kai Kara-France being the number one fight at the top of my head. But Sam, I mean, what do you not only make of this judge pay? We already know that fighter pay is a controversy. Do you think this judge pay controversy is going to make things worse? Do you think it's even an issue? Like, what's your take on this? And as far as like whether UFC is even bettable or even if it's easier or harder to make a prediction?
I mean, I honestly think that sometimes it's like you get what you pay for, right? So it's like I looked at that and I was like, oh, I mean, they're only paying them that much money. I was like, dang, that's really nothing. And I was like, that's messed up. But then at the same time, you got refs making all kinds of wild calls like here and there. Like, say, like, forget the UFC, right? Like, it's rare. It's a lot more rare in the UFC to have like some ref making absolutely absurd calls. Like the judging needs a lot of work. Like they need to retrain the judges. There needs to be like, I don't know, Big John should make like a refereeing institution like him and Herb Dean and, just get like all the best. Like my opinion is you should get all the best referees together. Like Herb Dean and Big John McCarthy and
Mark Goddard. Our boy, Mark.
Mark Goddard.
Yeah, Big Dan, Mark Goddard, Jason Herzog. Like get all the good referees together, have them create like an institute, and then they can like train the judges on what they're actually supposed to be looking for. Because half the time, it's like the judges got the freaking blinders on and they're watching a totally different fight. Like some of these scorecards come out, and I'm like, how did we get here? Like that? No. Like, what are we doing? Like, why?
I don't know. Money Mansman, what's your analysis of this breaking quote-unquote news?
I mean, it's exactly right. You get what you pay for. I mean, we saw the difference between, like, to give sort of a more mainstream example. Remember the NFL replacement refs? Like,
yes.
The difference between the replacement refs and like the regular refs. Like it's like with anything else, man. You get what you pay for, and it's amazing the difference between the Herb Deans of the world, the Jason Herzogs of the world, the, Big John back in the day, and, sort of your upper echelon refs compared to some of these guys that they bring in that just don't know,
Steve Mazzagatti
anything.
Jr.
And like guys calling clash of heads on like ground slams. I mean, it's
Oh
just
my
sort
God,
of a
that was
fucking joke.
that was the most disgraceful call to end a
guys not
fight
even-
ever.
Guys not even calling not even calling people out when they're out. Like, are you just waiting for him to die in there or what?
I mean,
Yeah,
we talk about the slam. The guy got kneed. The guy's knee is down. He gets kneed in the side of his head on the temple. Here's the ref. Keep it clean, guys. Not going to take a point. Not going to do anything, dude. Like this guy just got kneed in the head. Like we going to do something about it? No, we're just going to keep fighting. Okay. Like it's just so bad. The refereeing is so bad, and the judging. Oh, don't get me started. Like I'll take an hour and a half just ranting about this fucking bullshit judging. But it's terrible.
Bad.
I think the key word
open scoring.
Oh yeah.
I think the key word here, gents, is, and not just refereeing, but I think the UFC as a whole, it's inconsistency. And we've come to this topic time and time again. The judging and the refereeing has been so inconsistent. Mark Goddard, I remember a fight watching him. He took 2 points from a fighter for doing the same knee to the groin in the same fight. And literally by the second one, he was just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
How is it that we get that from one
fight.
ref?
Yeah.
We get that from one fight. And then another fight, it's keep it clean, guys. Another referee, what was it, in Abu Dhabi, literally watches a man get murdered for 2 whole minutes, doesn't do anything.
You talking about the Imavov fight?
Yes, the Imavov fight.
No, it was Benoit Saint Denis. That's who it was.
Yeah,
versus,
thank you, Sam. Yeah, but
forget
you just watch a guy get murdered. Dana White pulls a ref mid-card. Unheard of.
Yeah.
But nothing with these judges. And the judges scoring just being so inconsistent, not just because of the shuffling of the judges, which I think could be an issue, but the judges just don't even seem like they know what they're scoring half the time, and they're just going off their best. And the problem is not only when you don't have training, but when you don't even have a basis of accountability for these judges.
Exactly.
It causes this mayhem, and it causes the UFC, to be honest, to be damn near unbettable. And quite honestly, I may as well go bet on WWE, because at least if I lose, you know what? Somebody out there probably had insider info, But
dude, I feel like the UFC is just turning into like a gong show. Like, dude, all right. Let's talk about this real quick. So, did you see? All right, so Dana White is like, I'm not going to let Francis Ngannou box, but he sent a fight offer to Tyson Fury to fight John Jones.
Yeah, what a joke! I saw that too.
What are we doing?
What a jackass!
What are we doing?
You could have had the next biggest boxing pay-per-view since McGregor Mayweather.
This idiot.
And you kicked this guy to the curb. He goes to PFL. Not only doesn't have to fight for another year, is making stupid money.
Dude. He's making bankola. And he has like ownership stake, and he has like he's making big decisions, you know what I mean? Like, he's a power player now. He got everything he was asking for and more. And then Dana White's like, "Oh, I don't know about this. Like, it's not sustainable." It's like, dude, you're like the cheapest. You're like the Grinch. You're like the real life version of the Grinch, bro. Yeah, you're Scrooge McDuck. Like,
and by the way, we're gonna charge you $80 a pay-per-view now, when we were only charging $70 or $65 in the middle of COVID.
Crack.
And it's amazing. I mean, you see, we're getting less and less of them, because how many of the cards are even like good anymore?
That's what I'm saying, dude. UFC's going down to like, it was really funny. It was like the CFO of PFL. He like made this tweet. Dana White was like, something, it's not going to like work out. And then he like tweeted something that like Blockbuster said about Netflix, like selling DVDs. It was like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. And then we see where Blockbuster is and we see where Netflix is. So it's like,
I think Netflix is a good analogy. Now, I mean, if you think about it, Netflix was the #1 streaming service. And now they kind of had competition, but they were still promoting, quality shows.
Mhm.
They had good service. Now they're literally charging people more if they want to either share their account or just put it on multiple devices, where these other streaming services are kind of coming around saying, we'll put up just as good shows. We'll put in tons and thousands of shows and movies, give you
Mhm.
what you want, and we're not going to do what Netflix is doing because you'll pay us either way, even if we are cheaper. And I think
Well, the
UFC is going to head towards a
thing-
bad path if they keep going.
I'll
that way.
give you guys another more mainstream sports example. Look at Major League Baseball. For years,
Oh, and the-
we're Major
yeah.
League Baseball. This is how we play our game. It takes 4.5 hours. Our fans like it. We're not changing shit. You know why the rules changed? Because they did the numbers and realized NBA has surpassed us. Obviously, the NFL long since surpassed, but even soccer's becoming more popular. Hockey's still in the background. Like,
Mhm.
esports is becoming a thing. UFC is becoming there's a lot more competition, and you either innovate or die. And I'm just wondering,
That's it.
the UFC, are they innovating in the right way in the sense of becoming more like boxing, becoming more like WWE, where it's high promo fights with bullshit on the side? Is that going to be the winning strategy for them? Or is it just putting together some interesting fights like they used to, where I think that's what got them into this space, to actually see the best in the world fighting on these stacked cards, where it was you felt like you're getting your money's worth, as compared to where, the main event is Amanda Nunes and Irene Aldana, and that's, you expect $80 for that.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
even
not
better,
saying-
supposedly Dana White's now going to host Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk for a cage fight because they're all of a sudden interested. It's literally turning into gimmick fights.
He
Yeah,
should do
it's-
slap fight. He could promote his fucking slap
I
fight.
mean, yeah. Dude, he could be like Gamebred FC and do dude, just be one championship and do everything. Do wrestling and kickboxing and Muay Thai and MMA and
It's a shame that one championship isn't talked about as much. Because they are
One's
innovative.
sick, though.
They
One's
have
really
quality
cool.
fighters. I would say better than Bellator, to be honest with you. But I mean, I know
their
that's a
events.
debate.
I was watching a lot of one during the pandemic. I got super into one, but I like their diversity of events. That's my favorite thing about them, because it's sometimes you want to see a Muay Thai fight, or sometimes you want to see a special rules fight, or sometimes you don't always want to see we love mixed martial arts, right? That's our niche, but there's so many more combat sports than just mixed martial arts. I got into kickboxing. I started watching Glory fights, and it was crazy. They're crazy. Glory is straight up murderers. Everyone in Glory is a straight up killer, and it's just insane. The quality of fights that they were putting on. So I was super into kickboxing. I was just man, there's so much other stuff out there that I was not giving any time or attention to. Obviously there's boxing. I grew up watching boxing, and then there's MMA. I've been into that since I was in high school, middle school, whatever. And it's yeah, but there's so much more out there that we're missing and we're not getting access to, because everyone's so focused. And even Sergio Pettis said this really cool thing where he was talking. It was either Sergio Pettis or Anthony Pettis. He was there is so much more money out there to be made, but it was Anthony Pettis. He said this. He was there is so much more money out there to be made, but people just want the name recognition of being in the UFC, and they're willing to take really crappy deals and shorten themselves just so they can get that name recognition of being out there and being a part of the UFC. And I was wow, that's coming from an ex-UFC champion. The dude's been in the UFC. He had major success. He made money. So if he's saying that, there's obviously some truth and some merit to it,
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, no, and unfortunately now we're still here, and we're going to talk about the next UFC card.
Yeah,
despite all that, that's the
Fucking
crazy
hypocrite.
thing.
We're a bunch of sellouts, guys. Don't listen to us.
Anyways, so Money Management, we're without the icebreaker now, we're kicking this off, and instead of going through the entire card, we're going to go through the main card. But to start this off, we are going to start with our best prelim pick. And it could be any of the fights. It could be any picks that you want to give out. I'm going to defer to Sam out of all the fights. What's your lock? Who is your number one guaranteed winner on the prelim card?
On the prelim card, I am going to take – I really like David Onama as an upset over Gabriel Santos.
Oh, that's on the main card, bud.
Sorry, y'all. Oh, false alarm. I'm going to take – let's see. Well, I'm going to take Neil Magny for sure over Phil Rowe.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm taking Neil Magny over Phil Rowe. My toss-up fight, I'm also going to take like Rajabov over Mateusz Rebecki as my upset pick. And then I'm also like up in the air with the Randy Brown Wellington Turman fight. I feel like that one can go either way. So I know Wellington Turman's definitely got the edge on the ground, but I'm going to give Randy Brown the edge in striking. So it's just going to depend on how the fight goes. Like if it stays stand-up, I probably got Randy Brown taking it by decision. But if it goes to the ground, I probably got Turman by submission.
Dang. Well, Money Management, did you have a prelim pick that you wanted to share with the people, or are you going to defer?
Boy, it's tough. The one I was really looking at, and I didn't have a great feel for the prelim card. I think I'm going to go with Tabitha Ricci against Jillian Robertson. I don't know. Like, it's tough because I tend to like Robertson as a fighter, but Ricci, I think she's fought well in her past couple of fights. And I don't know, Robertson to me, like, I'm just not, like she's somebody I thought was going to be better, like when she came out. And she just, 12-7 record. She lost to like JJ Aldrich, I think like maybe last year or something. That was a disappointing fight. I vaguely remember that one. I think I lost money on her with that fight. Like, I don't know. This is just one. It's sort of they're even money fighters, but like Tabitha Ricci has one loss in her career. I don't know. This just seems like I'm not a fan of Jillian Robertson. Like I was a fan. I don't know sort of if she's any good. I don't really like her record and sort of what I've seen. So that would probably be like the one prelim fight I'd be looking for. The Management Special fight too, if it's still on. I don't know. I was looking at the Tatso Taira. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's a flyweight fighter. He's like 13-0. I was looking at him against Clayton Rodriguez, but I don't even know if that's still on the card.
I don't think it's on.
That one's off. Yeah, that one's off.
Damn.
Yeah, the opener
that was another one I was looking at like before, but it's off now, so that's a bummer.
My prelim pick, I'm going heads up with Spaceman Sam. I'm actually going with Phil Rowe here.
Phil Rowe.
I'm going with Phil Rowe. And this is a combination of riding the hot hand on a guy who's won 3 in a row by knockout in spectacular fashion. He's won 4 of his last 5 in the UFC, if you want to count Contender Series. Neil Magny at this point, I just think he's 3-3 in his last 6. He's gone into that gatekeeper status.
Yeah.
And the fact that his last few wins were by decision, and I think he did have a submission. And I think if Neil Magny wants to survive, he's going to have to take it to the ground. I just don't know if he really has enough to knock out a hot stud like Phil Rowe. Pause. But anyway, pause. Anyways, but pause. But no, I just think
Phil Rowe
slide
with that one.
Yeah, but I think Phil Rowe is just at plus 176 too. He's an underdog in this fight against a questionable gatekeeper. I think it's gonna be a very good fight, and I could even see this going to decision. But I think Phil Rowe could outstrike Neil Magny. I think he could come in hot. He could get a first or second round finish. So that's my pick on the prelim card, just kind of looking at everything. That was just kind of my fade pick. out of all of them. As much as I do, I respect Neil Magny, and I think he's a gatekeeper for a reason, but that's just where he is. And I got a guy coming in who's coming off a 3 knockout win streak. I think he's going to be looking to continue that.
Yeah, Phil Rowe's pretty good. I just feel like Phil Rowe's like kind of inconsistent. That's the only thing. So, like that's like his biggest hole is like he's not really good defending like takedowns. So
yeah,
he can easily get like out wrestled in there. But I think you make a good point. Like his striking is pretty nice, and he has been looking good in his last couple of fights. But again, he's just been fighting tomato cans too. So that
is very, very true. I mean, he knocked out a Ryan Koshi and Nico Price and Jason Witt.
Yeah, don't forget about Jason Witt.
Jason was awful. The vanilla gorilla.
I think this is just a good test to see if Phil Rowe was the real deal. But I think Neil Magny is the perfect kind of opponent.
It's a good fight for him. Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Well, gents, we're going on to the main card here, and this is going to be UFC on ABC. Start time 3 p.m. of all times.
What a burner.
What a bummer if you have to work or if you have a life, but I'll be home watching this. But we're kicking off UFC live in Jacksonville. We're kicking off with a middleweight battle. We got Brendan All-In Allen versus Bruno Blindado Silva. Brendan All-In Allen 21-5, Silva 23-8. Allen's a minus 196 favorite. Silva plus 254. It's a middleweight fight. Allen's ranked number 13. Money Mansman, I'm going to start with you. Who is your winner for this fight, and what's your bet here?
Yeah, I think I go with Brendan Allen here. Very chalky play, but I think the record sort of speaks for itself. I don't know. Is Brendan Allen, I got to look, is he in the top 15 now currently?
He's number 13.
Yeah, he's in the top 13 now, top 15. He's been on a good streak. Bruno Silva, you look at his record, he got submitted by Gerald Meschart. Like, that's a bad loss to have against a guy like Brendan Allen. I think the fight opened up as lower odds, and now they've sort of gone up in favor of Brendan Allen. I just think, they kind of see the record, they see the level of fighter, and I'd expect Brendan Allen to go and get a win here.
Yeah,
Spaceman, what's your take?
I'm taking Brendan Allen. I mean, Bruno Silva's like pretty much a monster on the feet, but with Brendan Allen's like wrestling and submission game, I think he might have this one in the bag. I think the safe bet is Brendan Allen. I'm definitely picking Brendan Allen to win this fight.
Yeah, I'm with you guys as well. Bruno Silva too. He had 6 losses all by submission too. So I think Brendan Allen has the keys to victory in the sense that all he really has to do is take it to the ground. Where he does have 12 submission wins, and his only 2 losses in the UFC were via knockout. So I mean, I think at this point he is riding a 5-fight win streak as well, and I think this is a solid fight for him to move up in the ranks a little bit. Even if he doesn't take it by submission, he could stay on his feet. That is my only concern, is if he does try to do that. Silva has 20 knockouts under his belt, and I think it would not be smart of Brendan Allen to stay on the feet with this. That is my only concern. But otherwise, I think if he does take it to the ground, it's an easy victory. It could be decision or submission. That might be a double play that I might take over on FanDuel. But yeah, any other insights, guys, before we move on to the next one?
No, I think, I mean, like Bruno Silva's just like, the dude's a freaking machine. Like, he went the distance with Alex Pereira, which is kind of crazy. But again, like, I just think Alex Pereira had like a off night on that fight.
Was that not his UFC debut too?
That was his second UFC fight. He
Gotcha.
fought Michailidis. He beat Michailidis by flying knee, and then he went the distance with Bruno Silva. Then he KO'd Sean Strickland, and then he KO'd Izzy in his 4th fight, and then Izzy smoked him in the next one. So
Yeah, interesting transition there for
Yeah, right.
Alex Pereira.
A lot of those Glory guys have gone on to have success in MMA. Cedric Doumbé was the welterweight champion for Glory. He was supposed to fight in the UFC, but then there was like something in his contract because he's with Fernand Lopez over in Paris and Cyril Gane and them, and so he was like still tied in that contract, and they wouldn't release him from the contract, so he couldn't come fight in the UFC.
Damn.
Yeah, that would have been sick. That dude's a freaking tank. You should watch some of his fights. Cedric Doumbé, everybody, the guy's a freaking mauler.
Damn. All right, next fight. We got the Silent Assassin Onama coming up against Gabriel Muscantino Santos. Onama 10-2 record, Santos 10-1. Santos coming in as a favorite for the first time ever at -225. Onama plus 188 underdog at the featherweight fight. Onama, he's 2-2 in the UFC, 0-1 as an underdog. Like I said, Santos first time as a favorite. He lost by a split decision in his last fight, which was his UFC debut, but he does have 7 finishes under his belt, 4 of them by submission. Onama, 10 finishes, 6 knockouts, 4 submissions, 2 losses by a decision. I really went heads up on here, gents. I don't think the odds really reflect appropriately for either fighter. I don't know if I really like a 1-2 guy for the first time as a favorite when he lost by split decision. I do remember watching that fight, though. It was close. I actually kind of had him winning that fight personally, but with that said, I mean, coming in at 1-2 against a guy who does have 10 finishes seems a little crazy. Sam, am I missing something here? Is there any insights you have that you can provide to the people?
I mean, personally, I'm taking David Onama as the underdog in this fight. I just like his fighting style. I think he's really explosive, and he has like pretty good knockout power, so he can definitely get done on the feet for sure. He's shown like some weaknesses in like his ground game and like his submission defense. So that might be like the reason why he's the underdog, because he's going up against a submission guy. But I definitely am going to take David Onama. I think he has potential. You know, he's like a pretty raw talent, but he has a lot of potential to really excel. Like, he has a good skill set. So if he just develops his talent more, he can be a really like key player in that featherweight division. And he's like the only fighter from Uganda. So shout to Uganda. Let's go, Uganda. Shout out to David Onama representing the African continent. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Africa in the house.
Those African fighters, I mean, they have a pretty good track record. I'll give them that.
He's a real African. Is he a real African in the word?
Jesus Christ. Are we really going to do that?
Is he real Africa or fake Africa? Ask Lucas Duplessis, since he's the authority on the African fighters now. He's an African gatekeeper.
Don't get me started.
That's your boy, Steve. That's your boy.
Hey, man, he's won me a lot of money. I can't really.
Still not.
Dricus Duplessis. I mean, I don't have to like him, but he does have to make me money in order for me to keep betting on him.
Hey, you know we like people that make us money. That's what we care about here.
Yeah, no, I can't pretend to have morals when it comes to gambling. I mean, let's be real. This podcast will not be called the Distinguished D-Gents if we started betting people based on morality. But we'll get to that issue later. Sam, I'm with you here. I'm taking a chip. I'm going to flick it on Onama as well at plus 188. I just think he is the more well-rounded fighter. He does have 4 submissions under his belt, and I just think even if Santos tries to take this to the ground, Onama could defend himself. Onama is able, to use jiu-jitsu and use that to his advantage. And at the featherweight with 6 knockouts, I don't think that's anything to ignore either. I know he had 2 losses by decision, but I would actually bet this to not go the distance. I don't know what the odds are that, so I'm going to look that up real quick. Money Management, what is your insight on
I like the handicaps. I agree. Definitely would flick a chip on Onama. To me, it's real simple. You got a guy close fight, UFC debut. Both guys are finishers. This is the type of fight where you want to take a flyer on an underdog. Like, I'm getting an underdog who has 10 wins, 10 finishes. Like, it's a close fight. I mean, the one guy, like I said, Santos has one fight of UFC experience. I think Onama, like you said, has maybe 4 fights. So they're both UFC relative, young in the division. And this is the type of fight where, especially at like plus 180 odds, which I think is too high to begin with, I'm getting a guy who's a finisher. I mean, would this be a surprising fight if literally, Santos starts off strong and then takes a knee or gets clipped in the face and gets knocked out? Like, to me, it's just, I mean, obviously, for the reasons you guys stated, I think Onama could sort of win even in the traditional sense. But in terms of the numbers, it's just too good to get a guy who's almost a 2-1 favorite and a guy who's a finisher with more UFC experience who could just very easily even, he could just sort of luck his way or find his way into a knockout. So, like the handicap approved, I think that's our dog of the pod, I would think, plus 188. I don't know if we're going to find him better than that.
I could ride with that for sure. And Santos' first time as a favorite, I know this is it's his second fight. He lost the last one by split decision, and he's going up against technically a more experienced UFC fighter. I don't even think the odds, it's a numbers play at the end of the day. I just don't think it's correct. Why is this guy a 1-2 favorite?
Yeah, dude, is there something we don't know? Like, is this guy doing steroids or something?
I mean, maybe, but
is this dude training with like Anderson Silva or something? Like, what's he?
Have they done the weigh-ins yet? Did he come in overweight? Like, are we missing something?
That is actually what I'm going to pull up now because that's
about to
surprisingly something we haven't covered yet. Well, we know the main card, or not the main card, the main event came in at weight. So one fight was canceled, which I think we went over already. Let's see here. Radzabov weighed in overweight. Rodriguez weighed in at 129 for his flyweight. So those are prelim cards. Oh, no, that fight got canceled. Jack Jenkins and Emmers, who we're going to get to soon, almost came in overweight, but Emmers did come in weight in time, so we're okay. That was about it. So luckily, no fatty boys here tonight. I'm sorry, man, but I know you were looking forward to that rant. But
guys, we have breaking news.
What's up?
Lionheart versus Superman Span at UFC Singapore.
Whoa!
Oh, who's fighting Superman Span?
Anthony
Smith.
Oh, okay, that's exciting. I'm down for that.
I love Anthony Smith as a person, and I love him as a fighter. But he is washed. He even admitted, he was like, my legs cannot take leg kicks anymore, and everyone knows his legs are shot. So it's dude, you're going in there handicapped, and you're gonna get either choked out or knocked out. I got Superman Span by finish, but that's another fight for another time. But
we'll
all know
early
handicap
gents from Spaceman Sam. Take Ryan Span, whatever odds are.
You guys,
we need that public money to come in on Lionheart. That's what we need. Yeah. Bomb the hell out of Span.
By the way, Onama Santos to not go the distance minus 176.
Yeah,
jumping to the next fight. Austin Lane coming up against Justin the Bad Man Tafa.
Oh, please.
Heavyweight.
I want to hear about Justin. 6-3, fucking Justin Tafa. Oh, my God. I hate this guy. I hate fucking Justin Tafa. Have I mentioned that?
Oh, shit. Here we go. All right, Justin Thomas, 6-3.
Wait till I fucking minus 180. Fights. Just wait. Just
Dude,
wait.
who is Austin Lane? I don't even know who Austin Lane is. I can't pick a guy that I don't know who he is. Like,
So Austin Lane, 12-3. He's a plus 152. He is a Dana White Contender Series winner. I want to say from last season that he is making his UFC debut technically.
Oh my God!
Jackson-
I'm looking at his picture on Shirt Dog. He's literally drinking out of a paper cup with his shirt on. Are you serious right now? This is not fucking real life. Oh my God!
He's a former Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end. He is on a 6-fight win streak. None of them went to decision. He has 6 finishes.
all right, Greg Hardy.
Well, no. Oh, by the way, DJs, if you ever feel down, and this is a mental health awareness portion of the Distinguished DJs, whenever you feel bad about yourself, whenever you have negative thoughts, we all want you to know that not only do we here at the Distinguished DJs care about you, but you should just YouTube Greg Hardy knockout highlights. And you're not going to see Greg Hardy knocking out anybody. You're going to see Greg Hardy get knocked out. And I want you to think of 2 things. Number 1, I'm not this low-life piece of shit who realizes that when he beats women, that when they get to fight back, it's a lot harder than
when they're big enough to knock his out, it's a lot different.
But number two, go to bed at night knowing he got kicked out of multiple professional organizations because of how bad he sucked.
You got slept in 3 different organizations. You got slept in the UFC, you got slept in BKFC, then you got slept in the rando box.
Like, not even good boxing.
Backyard boxing. Like, dude, what you doing? What are you doing? It's like bum fights, like professional bum fights or something.
He's about to be on professional bum fights. The fucking loser. Even the Dallas Stars, like even Jerry Jones knew what this guy
Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah.
You said the Dallas Stars. Bro's playing hockey now.
He might as well. He might as well go to hockey.
He still get knocked out. He get in a fight with some fucking hockey player, and he get his jaw broken.
You get sauced.
That would be. I would pay money to see that. I'm not.
Oh, I'd be down for it, definitely.
All right. Anyways, Austin Lane, he's making his UFC debut. All right, Jason, Justin Taffa, he's a minus 180. Go.
I mean, this fight is unbettable. Justin Taffa. Listen to the last 3 guys he fought against. He knocked out Parker Porter. Parker Porter is more out of shape than I am. Okay?
I was going to make the same comment.
Justin Taffa. Head kick knocked out Harry Hunsucker. 7-6 over. Wait, Justin Taffa. Have you seen Justin Taffa?
Yeah.
Big dude.
Head kick knockout. Did this guy even lift his leg to someone's head?
Okay, to be fair, what was more spectacular? The Justin Taffa head kick knockout or the Chris Barnett spinning heel kick?
Oh,
what was it on Long Island?
Barnett.
You know, I like Chris Barnett better.
I like Chris Barnett.
I love Chris Barnett.
I like Chris Barnett. Love that dude.
Has 100% support on this.
Yeah, I like Chris Barnett, so I'm not going to give him shit. Justin Taffa 6-3. Yeah, I am. And then the third one in the list lost to Jared Vandera by unanimous decision.
I remember that. That was embarrassing.
That was the. Oh, Jason, you forgot the fight beforehand, which, spoiler alert, this is why I'm not picking Justin Taffa. He lost via decision to Carlos steroid user Felipe.
Oh, God, I forgot that fucking fight. I remember it now. We literally hugged each other for 3 rounds, and Felipe won. Oh, that was a bad fight. I remember that. That was bad.
Any Carlos Felipe fight was a bad fight. Let's be honest. I mean, the fat fuck you steroids and still lost. I mean,
the other guy, I mean, you can't bet him. His last win is against a guy who just fought in Spartacus MMA. That's a thing, I guess. Spartacus.
Sam.
I like Justin Taffa. I'm picking Justin Taffa with this just as I don't know anything about Austin Lane, and I'm usually very wary to pick new fighters in their first UFC fight to pick up the win. So I'm just going with my gut, and it's Justin Tafa. I mean, honestly, like Justin Tafa has a good skill set. He has a good skill set. He just needs better cardio. Like his cardio is kind of whack. Like he gets burnt out by like the third round. He's like just wasted. So I mean, if he can get his cardio up, his skill set is there. Like he has the power, he has the weapons. I mean, big guys don't wrestle. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, heavyweights really don't wrestle outside of like Francis Ngannou pulling wrestling out of his cheeks, and then freaking like pulling it out of his back pocket, and then freaking Stipe Miocic and John Jones, who have a highly decorated like wrestling background. But other than that, like heavyweight's never been known for its wrestling abilities. It's always been like striking and grappling. Speaking of which, I think Jailton Almeida, keep an eye out for that guy. He's going to be fighting for the title pretty soon. I think Tom Aspinall is probably going to get a title shot first, followed by Jailton Almeida.
I will say this for the D-Gents. Spaceman Sam did correctly predict Gervonta Davis via knockout against Ryan Garcia.
I said in 6, he won in 7. So,
bro, you don't fuck with Spaceman in the fight game. Like,
when it comes to boxing, please.
When he's confident, I mean, he makes some bold predictions, but I gotta say, like, he has yet to fail me. So we're gonna keep an eye on that prediction. We're gonna see how that holds up in the future. We're gonna have to make some clips later. As far as I go, I'm not betting on a guy who lost to Carlos Felipe. It's more on principle than.
That's fair. It's
a principle play. I'm not saying it'll win. I'm not saying it's a great.
I mean, Justin Tafa is just like bootleg Tai Tuivasa, if we're being realistic.
Well, like, Tai Tuivasa, at least.
Tai Tuivasa is actually good, though.
Tai Tuivasa, he damn near knocked out Cyril Gane. Like, let's be real.
He just about did, yeah.
I mean, I know he lost 2 in a row, and he's taking a break, which I think really is well-deserved. But Tai Tuivasa is not a joke. Even though, like, an argument could have been made 3-4 years ago that he was. Justin Tafa needs to win this fight if he doesn't want to be considered a joke anymore, and he has to knock this guy out. He wins by decision, he's still a joke, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been looking up while you guys were talking. I was looking up some of Austin Lane's opponents, and it's not good. Like, this guy has not beaten anybody good.
Dude beat up a can of beans.
Juan the Kraken Adams is probably his best win.
I don't even know who that is.
Like, bro, it's bad. Like, it's bad. Justin Tafa beat Juan Adams too, by the way, just looking at his record. But yeah, it's bad. Like, Austin Lane hasn't fought anybody. This is an ugly fight. God bless anyone who wants to throw their money out on this one.
I will say there are some. I'm surprised at the amount of prop plays you can get on FanDuel for this fight. It makes no sense to me, other than the fact that they're trying to literally steal money from anybody. But Austin Lane to win in the second minute of any round, plus 900. Keep that in mind.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
Absurd. If Justin Tafa gets knocked out,
that's my prediction. I think if you had I don't just think it makes sense to bet Austin Lane. You might as well bet him by finish, or at least by knockout.
If you're gonna go to Stupidsville, just fully commit.
Yeah, Austin Lane by finish plus 185 or plus 152 if you really, really, really believe it'll go to decision. Which, God knowing Justin Tafa, it could, but I don't even know if I want to go that far. I think you just take Austin Lane. If you're going to go to Stupidsville, just bet the finish. Call it a day. Yeah. Considering he's
go hard or go home.
Well, I mean, 6-fight win streak, no decisions under his belt. You might as well bet the finish and get your higher odds there at that point. But All right. Are we ready for the co-main, gents?
Let's do it.
All right. This is the part where I would say we could talk about our sponsors, but we don't have any. So we're just going to go to the co-main.
Not yet. Not yet.
Sponsors,
In the future.
Nah, but I will
sponsored by Venom one day.
I will say though, I'll defer the picks and then I'll actually go into my little sponsor I did want to do for a friend of mine. But anyways, I'll jump into this. It's the co-main, it's the women's fight, it's the flyweight fight. Amanda Ribas, number 9 ranked flyweight in the world, 11-3, minus 200, going up against Macy, the future Barber, at 12-2, plus 168 odds as an underdog. She's ranked number 11 to flyweight. Amanda Ribas, 2-2 in her last UFC fights, last 4 UFC fights. Macy, 4-fight win streak, all by decision. Both have only 2 losses under their belt in the UFC. Ribas is 6-2. Macy Barber is 7-2. Spaceman, for the co-main event, are you taking the dog in the future or are you going with Amanda Ribas?
I mean, so I was going to pick Amanda Ribas. I think she has a good skill set, but I think sometimes she just gets really lazy out there. Like, that's the only downside with her. Like, sometimes she looks like super brilliant. You're like, wow, like she could be like really good. And then other times you're like, what are you doing out there?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? So honestly, it just depends on like what Amanda Ribas shows up to be complete. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, but if she shows up and she's on top of her game, I think she wins. Macy Barber is really good. Let me not take anything away from her. She's an incredible fighter. And I think she has a really good skill set. So, like, Macy Barber has really good wrestling. Amanda Ribas is more known for her striking, but Macy Barber has really good wrestling. And usually when it comes down to, like, a wrestler and a striker, the wrestler usually wins. So if Macy Barber can establish, like, dominance on the ground with her takedowns, I would probably give her the fight. Again, it's pretty much up in the air, but I'm probably going to stick with my Ribas pick.
Yeah, Money Mansman, what's your take?
Yeah, this I think could be, maybe just because it's a women's fight, it'll be ultra competitive anyway. But I think this has a chance to be the most competitive fight on the card. It's tough because I agree a lot with Spaceman Sam. Like, he seems to be the more explosive fighter, the more one likely to get a finish. And I don't know, it does scare me about her having the possibility of, like, Macy Barber getting a takedown and then, like, finding herself in a bad spot to get submitted. I think I'd have to go with Barber. I just like the way she's looked over that 4-fight win streak. Like, she was somebody who I was always really looking to, like, fade and not bet on, because she just seemed like, for a while there, sort of is, I don't know, like, okay, you'd see her fight and she wasn't anything special. And it was like, and I think she's looked better in sort of the win streak, and she's looking like, I mean, obviously this is sort of her fight to really see if she takes the next step. I mean, she beat KGB last time out, but this is sort of a step up even from that. So I think it's going to be a close fight. I lean Barber here. I really do. I like the way she's looked her past few.
Gotcha. God. In the fear of sounding like a jackass by fading Sam, I too am riding with Macy Barber, but not because I actually like her. I actually do like Amanda Ribas more, especially in this kind of a fight when you have a Macy Barber who not only has 4 in a row by decision against tougher opponents than when she originally started out in the UFC, 4 questionable decisions that arguably could have been swung either way, one way or another, in my opinion. I know there's a couple sharps out there. One I was listening to earlier today from the Sports Gambling Podcast. They really are not fans of Macy Barber. But regardless, I'm taking Macy because this seems like a trap fight for Amanda Ribas. is this the fight that determines whether or not she's a gatekeeper or whether she's a real contender? And every fight I've seen with Amanda Hebus, when it comes to like legitimate fighters, just seems to never go her way, whether it's because she gets finished or whether she loses by decision. That could be a debate, and I'm not even saying Macy Barber is a real contender. I think if she were next week to get a title shot, I think she would be plus 2,000, and I wouldn't even think about betting money on her. But quite frankly, this seems like another fight where it could not only go to decision, this could be a split decision, and the judges just could rob the people, and it could go the other way, even if it isn't deserving, because Macy Barber just seems to do enough to get away with a victory.
Yeah. Maybe you want to do that DraftKings. They have that plus 3.5. Maybe that's what you'd want to do for a fight like this.
Ooh. I mean, that would be – so, yeah, by the way, I know we're talking about FanDuel odds here, but DraftKings did recently release spread betting for UFC, and I think that would be my spread lock. It would be Macy Barber plus 3.5, because – I think there's a reality she wins one or even two of the rounds. I think she really does win this outright by decision, because Amanda Hebus is not just going to let her, take the whole fight all 3 rounds. But I think it comes down to inconsistency with Amanda Hebus too. Some fights she comes in and she just looks on top of her game. She looks like a championship contender. And other fights she comes in and you're just wondering why the hell is she even ranked? And you're just, and like Sam said, your hand's in your head and you're just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, she really has to establish the dominance early. And by early, I mean like the first round, and then like the early part, at least the very least the early part of the second round, she's going to need to establish dominance, like just get guns blazing, like out the gate, really just like get in Macy Barber's face, start peppering her shots, establish her jab, get some leg kicks going. And if she can do that consistently, like she'll easily win the fight. But she has to keep it on the feet, and then she has to be aggressive, because that's always been like her biggest issue, is like being too passive in the octagon, just like waiting for the fight to come to her instead of taking the fight to her opponent. So yeah, I mean, if Hebus can get through those couple of blocks, I think it's a good lock for her to win this fight. And I would she has the potential to win it by KO. Maybe like, I know we're not calling rounds here, but if I were to call it, I'd probably say like second round KO, or maybe like early third round, But she's like we just established, she has to be on top of her game, because if she's not, it's going to be an easy day for Macy Barber. Like if Macy Barber can establish that takedown, it's a wrap.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we should try to look up a prop play, but of course, right now, the minute I bring that up, it's not going to work. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, we're looking at over under 1.5 rounds. What do you guys are you guys thinking the over by closer to the decision, or do you actually believe there's a potential for a finish?
I think the potential for a finish is there. I mean, it's always there with you, boss. But I think the more realistically, it's probably going to go a decision.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would definitely go the over 1.5 as well there. I think it's much more likely to be a fight that goes. Let me see. I'm looking now. Yes to go the distance, minus 186. So, gives you an idea.
Gotcha. All right, let's get to the main event. Before that, though, I do want to do a quick shout out to not only one of my future groomsmen, but to one of our good friends, Glenn the Reaper Edelman, professional axe thrower. Recently just got a sponsorship with Mason Dagger Beard Company doing the Reaper beard oil. We'll post his Instagram profile where you can get his 10% off discount for beard oil if you're interested.
Nice.
But we support our friends here on the channel, even if we don't get any cuts. But we just want to say, Glenn, we're proud of you, buddy, and we're going to share your success as well. But
Let's go
with that
Giants.
Yeah,
said,
good for him, man. That's cool. That's cool.
It's sick. Professional axe thrower. That's wild.
oh yeah, dude, we'll have him on the show eventually once
Yeah.
he's free.
Nice.
Got to bet on him. He said you could bet on him, right?
Yeah.
I gotta get those lines whenever they're out. But let's get
Are
to
we
the
gonna
main
do
event.
Are we doing axe throwing next show? We're gonna
Oh Jesus
expand the
God!
distinguished
Deep,
DJs
deep
into
dive breakdown into axe throwing. Get
darts, axe throwing. We do pool now.
Hey man, we don't look. If you can bet on Korean baseball, we might as well bet on darts and all that shit. All right, here we go. Main event: we got Ilya El Matador Topuria going up against Josh CCO Emmett. Ilya Topuria 13-0, Josh Emmett 18-3. Josh Emmett a plus 280 dog, plus 30 favorite for Ilya Topuria. Money Mansman, what's your play here, bud?
Yeah, it's disappointing because I liked a couple dogs, but in the main event, I just think, Josh Emmett's had a good little story. He's had a good little run. I think it ends. I think Ilya Taporia is just a better fighter overall. I think Josh Emmett, he's been fighting great, but doesn't it, I don't want to overthink this. Doesn't it just feel like what we saw with the Miami Heat in basketball, like you have a good story and then eventually you just fight a guy who's better and the story ends. Like that's what it feels like to me. I like what Emmett's done recently. All credit to him, sort of with the run he's been on. But I just think Ilya Topuria, his game's too good overall. I just think he's the better fighter. And I just think Emmett is going to be a bit outmatched in this fight. He got submitted last time. Topuria could submit. Like, just a really bad spot for Emmett. And again, good for him. He got pretty far, but I think that this is too much for him.
Yeah. I'm
Spaceman.
Yeah, I was just saying that's what we were talking about. Like me and Steve, we were talking earlier, and so I was telling him like Ilya Topuria is just a much more well-rounded fighter. Like the dude's explosive with his hands. He has freaking dynamite in his hands. He can submit you. His wrestling is like very top-notch. He has good wrestling. His submission game is like insane. He's black belt. Everyone's a black belt, so that doesn't really matter. But like he has really good jiu-jitsu, right? So it's like the dude is a super well-rounded fighter. He's coming in hot. He showed like some potential to like he was in danger in his last fight a little bit. I don't even remember who he fought. He fought Jai Herbert, right? He was fighting Jai Herbert. He got rocked at one point, but then he just came back and just put Jai Herbert in a freaking just crumpled him, folded the dude like a lawn chair. He was like just like dusted him. So yeah, I really like Ilya Topuria. I like where his trajectory is headed. I think he can be in the top 5 by the end of the year. That featherweight division is pretty stacked. But I definitely like his trajectory moving forward. So I think if it stays on the feet, Josh Emmett's going to have his best chance with it staying on the feet. But if it goes to the ground, he is in deep, deep water. So I'm going to take Ilya Topuria by finish for this one.
Ooh.
I think that's how that's going to play out. Look, Josh Emmett showed his weaknesses in his last fight against Jair Rodriguez, who's also just like insanely talented. Like Jair Rodriguez, he doesn't look that big, but that dude's just like insanely talented. His striking is like ridiculous. His submission game is slick. Like I honestly think he can give. I want to say that he's going to give Volk like a run for his money, but if Volk just like powers through him, I don't think anyone in that division's going to beat him.
Yeah, here's my opinion, and take this for what you will, because I'm notorious for having very bad takes at times. I think the demise of Josh Emmett is very overstated.
Oh.
We forget that this guy was on a good, I want to say it was a 4-fight win streak. He was a championship contender against Yair Rodriguez, who, let's just be real, there's levels to this game, and I just think Yair Rodriguez is on that Max Holloway, dare I say, Alexander Volkanovski level, not Alexander Volkov. But
Volkov is a pinball.
I think Yair Rodriguez is that guy. He is up there on that level. But Josh Emmett, I don't think is a joke. And I just think the odds are very disrespectful to, let's be honest, an Ilia Topuria who tried fighting Patty Pimblett in a hotel by throwing crumpets. And then don't get me wrong. I actually think that the tap out of Bryce Mitchell is not to be ignored. But Josh Emmett,
Bryce Mitchell, that was wild.
But Josh Emmett, let's be real, he tired himself out, and then did he really get tapped out, or did he just get exhausted and just give up his back? And that's the concern I have for this fight. Ilia Topuria, this is his first 5-round fight. Josh Emmett, for what you will, I just think experience is going to play more of a factor than we think. And I don't know if this makes sense to just hop on the Ilia Topuria train when he only has 13 wins under his 13 fights at that. Versus a guy who really hasn't lost all that much recently in the UFC, lost against a real perennial contender who is the interim champion at this point. And are we really going to say that a championship contending fighter is a almost 3-1 dog against somebody who's 13-0? I mean, the odds to me just seem like they're talking about the next Conor McGregor, goddamn near. And I just think that's a little ridiculous for Ilia Topuria. That's just my take, though, and I'm interested to hear your guys' comments on that. But I mean, if I had to bet this, I would actually throw it on Josh Emmett. Because I just think that the numbers are just completely incorrect.
Oh, wow.
I do think Josh Emmett is good. Don't get me wrong. He was on a 5-fight win streak. He was blasting people left and right. But I think it's just I don't want to say, I'm not going to say Josh Emmett's washed. I think he still probably has a good 4 or 5 years left in the fight, whatever. How old is he? He's 34, right?
He's 38.
Oh, dang. So, no, he is towards the end of his career. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. When you're 38, your wheels are really starting to burn rubber. That might have been his last run. I think he probably can make I wouldn't say he's burnt out, he's done for. He can probably make one more run before he has to hang him up. But
I mean, I think if he's gonna make the run, it starts here. You already lost.
But wait a minute, though, because this is a good point. The Dream Crusher. Was it the last fight to run? Think about it. Rodriguez. Rodriguez is fighting for a belt. Well, against Volk for the title. Is that the Dream Crusher where? Let's even say Emmett wins. I mean,
who's
he next in line? I mean, I don't know.
I think he becomes a gatekeeper if he wins the fight. I don't think he's getting another title shot.
I said that. I was talking to Mansman about this. This is the same narrative as Marvin Vettori. It's not if he wins; it's how he wins. And I said that it wasn't the fight with Jared Cannonier. It was with Vittori's previous fight before that. And what I said was if Vettori wins by decision, he's a gatekeeper. If he knocks him out or submits him, he gets another title run. What did Vettori do? He got a decision win. So now guess what? You're a gatekeeper. Jared Cannonier, let's see if you're the real deal. And Jared Cannonier threw him up for a 300 piece. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't Jared Cannonier win that fight?
Oh, yeah, he easily won that fight.
Yeah, he pumped it. He rocked him.
But that's the thing. It's this is the kind of fight where you say, is Ilia Topuria the real deal? or is Josh Emmett a gatekeeper? And if I had to bet on one or the other, I get the argument that Josh Emmett is a gatekeeper, but I actually believe more that Ilia Topuria might not be that big of a deal. Who the hell has he really fought other than Bryce Mitchell? And actually of relevance.
I just think it's time for like a change in the top 5. You know, like these divisions need new talent, and you can't have the same old guys that have been up there for the past 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever years. You know what I'm saying? Like it's time for, like, I want to see, like, I was cheering for Beneil Dariush, not because I thought Beneil Dariush was going to beat Charlie Alves, but because I wanted to see someone else fight Islam Makhachev for the title. Right.
And I think that's a good example, though.
Charles Oliveira is like the one who deserves the fight because he's the second best fighter in that division, right behind Makhachev. Right. So it's like we all knew that Charles Oliveira was going to win, but some of us, me specifically, were cheering for Beneil Dariush just because we wanted to see some new fights. Right. People get tired of seeing the same fights over and over and over.
Yeah. But isn't that a good example of what not just the UFC is, but what this kind of fight is? There are guys who are like top 5 championship contenders, and then there are true gatekeepers. And then there are people who really don't deserve the title shot. Beneil Dariush, was he a real title contender? Or is Charles Oliveira really a number 1? Is he really a championship contender? Or was this a guy who just kind of got lucky? We learned in that fight Charles Oliveira is literally – he's another level. And I just don't think Ilia Topuria is on the level of, like, say, Max Holloway. Dare I even say? I mean, Josh Emmett, I know he's old, but the guy's been around for a while. Like, and if I had to bet on whether Josh Emmett is washed because of one loss to Yair Rodriguez, who we learned is on that level, or is is Ilia Topuria the real deal? And just based on what I've seen from Ilia Topuria, I'm not that impressed. I'm not impressed enough. And that's why, like, I just don't think he's worth the bet. Not at the price that they're asking me to pay for him. And that's why I say, like, if I had to bet this, it would be on Josh Emmett and not Ilia Topuria. Now, if this was closer to even, I'd be with you guys. I'd say, yeah, let's throw money on Ilia Topuria. It's more of a, like, as a gambler, I'll throw money on Emmett. But if I'm actually, like, picking a winner, like, either way, I think it is more 50-50. Like, truth be told. But I don't think the odds are truthfully, reflective of that. And that's just kind of the play that I got.
I'm trying to think, like, who's the top 5, like, in the featherweight division right now. It's like,
well, let's see. Volkanovski's the champ.
Volk's the champ.
Max Holloway. Yair Rodriguez.
Brian Ortega. Is Josh Emmett's what, number 7? Let me look this up.
Emmett is 5.
Emmett's 5. Yeah, that's what I thought. So
Arnold Allen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Allen. Yeah, Arnold Allen's won, like, what, 12 in a row?
So he's on a big streak.
Yeah, that's the top 5. Calvin Kattar 6. Chan Sung Jung, number 7. Giga Shikadze, number 8. Ilia Topuria, number 9.
He hasn't fought in a long time. Shikadze hasn't fought in a long time.
Oh, Arnold Allen just lost to Max Holloway.
Oh, yeah, he did. That's right.
By decision, too.
I'll tell you what, though, that's one important thing. Like, we talk about wanting to see new blood, and what kills me is the new blood seems like they always lose to the big guy, like, you know what I mean? Like an Arnold Allen in a chance to sort of, and he loses to Max Holloway.
Right. No, I'm with you there. It's like when you get your chance, you really got to make the most of it because you might not get that chance again. Like, UFC is all about opportunity, right? So it's like you're not going to consist. Like, if you get all the way to the top and then you blow that opportunity, you're going to have to wait to get to the top again.
Yeah.
Because there are other people in line that are waiting for that opportunity that can take that opportunity from you. So you really, like, when you have opportunities to capitalize like Arnold Allen did, he was just like a step below Max Holloway. And the thing that's crazy about Max Holloway is, like, yeah, Max Holloway's like an all-time great champion, all-time legend. Like, dude's definitely a UFC Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts. But it's like he can't get over that hump of Volkanovski. So it's like we're not just going to keep paying money to watch Volk beat the dust off of Max Holloway. Like, Max Holloway, but these other dudes, they are not on Max Holloway's level. You know what I mean?
It's crazy,
like,
right?
The only fighter I was like on his level was like Yair Rodriguez.
It just gets back to that conversation of like there's levels to this competition, and dare I even say there's levels to gatekeeping. Yeah. There's a difference between an unranked gatekeeper, such as oh God, what was his name? Jason. He was your favorite UFC heavyweight. He believed in himself.
Oh, Ben Rothwell, Big Ben Rothwell.
Oh,
yeah. But there's a difference between Big Ben Rothwell versus Alexander Volkov, the heavyweight, who tends to be top 10, but just is never championship contention. Max Holloway, another top 5 gatekeeper. He'll always be there. Colby Covington's another one that comes to mind. Top 5 gatekeeper. He's really good, but he's just never good enough to be a champ. I mean, that's just what it comes down to at times. Do I really – and I think that's where Josh Emmett kind of lays. I think he's a top 5, maybe even top 10 gatekeeper. Like, he's good enough to stay there.
10. I think he's top 10, but I just think that Topuria is going to really bring it to him. I think he's hungrier. I think he has – like, he has more to lose, too. I guess Josh Emmett has more to lose because he's older, but it's just it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I still have Topuria winning by, like, finish. If he wins the fight, it's going to be by finish because he's won all his fights by finish.
I'll pull up those odds real quick. I mean, that I can't fault you, truth be told. I mean, he's not only a big favorite, but if you're going to bet him in this kind of a fight, it just sort of makes sense that you would want to bet this guy to get the finish. Money Management, any final thoughts on this one before we get to our lock, our dogs, and any crazy other plays that we want to get to before we sign off for the night?
No, I think I sort of stand by my original position. I think 2 things. One, I think Emmett might have had the dream crusher of his loss last time. And number 2, and again, I could be proven wrong. Trust me, there have been plenty of these situations where I have been proven wrong UFC-wise. I just think Ilia Topuria is on a different level. I really do.
Fair enough. So Ilia Topuria by finish is minus 250. If you dare the double chance to go to decision with a knockout, it's plus 115. Submission or points, you're looking at plus 110. Josh Emmett, like I said, is a plus 280 dog. I still stand by my point. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think he's washed. I think it's his demise is still, to me, very, very overrated, if you ask me. Like, one loss and all of a sudden this guy's done.
I'm being honest. I think the most exciting division right now is the light heavyweight division because anybody can be champion in
that division is juiced.
Anybody can be champion in that division. And I think Yuri Prochazka is going to come back. I think he's going to – I don't know. Like, I want to see him versus Sweet Dreams. Like, I love Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's, like, one of my favorite fighters. So I really am glad that he's champion. I think he really deserves to be champion. He worked his way up there. He put in the work. I think is well-deserved. But it's just, like, that's such an open door. You know, when you get into the top 5 for, like, light heavyweight. And then with Yuri Prochazka coming back, like, that dude's an absolute just – he's on another planet. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that division's wide open right now.
Hell yeah, dude. But, yeah, let's close this show out. We'll give out our best bet. We'll give out our favorite underdog. And then I don't know if we have any parlays or if we have any other crazy bets we want to throw in. Sam, who's your best bet out of the main card? Who's your lock?
I'm going with Ilia Topuria for the finish.
Let's go.
My best bet.
Pretty chalky, but that's okay. I mean, a lock's a lock. Money Mansman, your lock.
Yeah, I'll give one different just because I don't, even though I think Ilia Topuria probably is my best bet. I will go Macy Barber to win outright, plus a little bit of money. I think 140.
I'm going to go Brendan Allen to win -196. I'll meet you guys in the middle.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll meet you guys in the middle there. Bit chalky, almost 1-2, but we'll just leave it at that. All right, underdog pick. I know we all agreed on David Onama, so
Yeah,
I think that could be
for sure.
a unanimous underdog play. Any other underdogs? I know we talked about a couple.
Macy Barber, obviously, I just picked it. That would be the other underdog I'd be looking at in the main card.
I think Macy Barber has potential to win, but I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm taking Amanda Hebos in that one. I might eat my words on that. We'll see.
I mean,
You could eat your words on worse. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right, my other underdog. God. As much as I want to roll with Josh Emmett, I'm actually going to roll with Austin Lane as my other underdog.
Oh, that's bold. That's crazy.
All right. Well, we already went with David Onama, so I mean that.
Yeah, kind of bottom of the barrel, scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, just as another pick. I mean, like just scraping the picks.
Yeah.
By the way, David Onama, Macy Barber, and Austin Lane parlay. It's going to get you 18-1.
Jesus Christ! What?
Nice.
So if you want to take that D-Gents, go for it. And then other than that, I had my Phil Hall. Was it Phil Hawes? Not
Phil Rowe.
Phil Rowe. Sorry, not Phil Hawes. I was like, that's not right.
Nice though.
Phil Rowe.
Is like
it was my prelim.
Like Kevin Randleman Jr.
Phil Hawes just got on the card. He just swooped in at the last minute.
Late edition.
Late edition.
Phil Rowe is my prelim pick, but also another underdog you want to throw in. If you do throw him in, I think you're looking at like 26-1.
WWE style, pull his ass out of the stand. Oh, Phil Hawes is in attendance. He's taking his shirt off. He's getting ready to fight.
Storming the cage.
I'll pull that up. Hang on. I got to pull that up now. Phil Rowe. What are we looking at? Oh, Jesus Christ. 4 plus 4684. So it's 46-1.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
If all four hit. That is wild.
That's wild.
Oh, man.
Well, guys, I have nothing else for you. Any final word before we sign off for the night?
My prelim play, Tabitha Ricci.
Baby Shark. Yeah, I love Baby Shark. Go take it. Baby Shark all day. I'm just going to be tuning in from my phone because I got some things going on tomorrow in the afternoon, but
that's all right.
Catch that last fight. Probably going to come on. Well, actually, yeah, I might have to tune in. We'll see how it works out.
Gotcha. Spaceman, any final words before we sign off?
Just thanks for having me as always, guys. You know, I love being a part of this podcast and I love chopping it up with you guys. So
we fucking love having you, buddy.
Maybe more episodes in the future. So let's hold it down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We need those bigger UFC cards, man. Get those pay-per-view cards. We need
the crazy ones.
Yeah, we need
to before we close out, who wants to talk about saltiest UFC fighter, John Jones or Juliana Pena?
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Who takes the cake?
Who's the saltiest? Juliana.
Juliana, yeah.
Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, we saw that.
Michael Bisping said it was a 10-9 for Francis.
You don't want the smoke. Francis. There's a running. There's a running Twitter theory that John Jones was drunk as shit for that entire transaction.
Dude. I believe it. John Jones delivered like one of the coldest lines. He was like, "I've always been king. I am a king. I've always been king. I will die a king." And Anthony Smith was like, "That was one of the coldest lines ever." But he just needed to save it for another time.
Drunk words are sober thoughts,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have to find the video, share it to our Twitter. Monty Manson, what's our Twitter hashtag or not Twitter? Twitter
at DGents Podcast.
at DGens Podcast. We'll have to find the clip and share it to the page, but it's a whole theory about how John Jones was drunk the entire time in that transaction.
I believe it.
Because he was there like to coach another fighter who he literally told him in the third round when the guy was losing, yeah, just take it to the ground and like hold him and hug him and you'll win. And then he lost. Yeah, and then the guy lost. And
oh my God. Yeah, John Jones should stick to fighting. I don't think coaching's in his
he should stick to fighting.
He's not a Greg Jackson or a Mike Winklejohn. He just needs to stick to fighting. You know,
yeah,
that's what he's good at. Juliana Pena is never gonna be the queen of the bantamweight division, and she's just gonna live salty the rest of her life, knowing that she could never beat Amanda Nunes twice.
For like real, never beat her for real. Basically,
yeah, she beat her for real once.
The only person that ever beat Amanda Nunes, the only person that ever beat Amanda Nunes was Amanda Nunes.
I don't know Valentina in that second fight, but
she beat herself too. Valentina definitely beat herself too. I think Alexa Grasso is kind of nice though. So if that rematch happens, I
think Alexa Grasso was losing the fight.
Confirmed it today.
Oh, she was losing the fight for sure. She was the breaking fight.
Yeah, Sam. Breaking news. They just announced it like right before the show started. Good. Yeah, Amanda. Yeah, Alexa Grasso and Shevchenko too. It's confirmed.
There we go, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah,
maybe Valentina won't throw a spinning back kick and fucking get her back taken again.
Yeah, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my. I feel like this year has definitely been the year of like. Oh no, it was last year. It was the year of fighters being up and then losing in the last round, or like losing the dying rounds of the fight. That was like the theme for last year, and that is not a theme that I want to see repeated. There's nothing that makes me angrier than when a fighter's winning a fight and they blow it at the end.
Yeah,
it's the literal worst. But yeah. With that said,
I'm talking to you, Kamaru. Glover Teixeira. I'm talking to you. Cut it out. Old man Glover, he's a goat.
Oh man. Well, Spaceman, we'll have you on next week for the next card for sure. I think we're gonna have to keep doing this just to keep the content going. Thank you, D-Gents, for checking out this video. I'm Steve Big Bucks Beta. Jason Money Mansman, thank you for joining us. Even if it was a minute late, that's okay, but we appreciate your presence. Thank you for helping. Spaceman Sam, always a pleasure having you, bud. We're gonna do this again.
Man. Absolutely.
All right. Good night, D-Gents.
Make that motherfucking money.
Night.